What is RAG? We hear about it all the time in the AI space, but what does it actually mean? Now, RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. On its own, that doesn't really mean much to me. So let's delve into the problem before RAG to understand how this is helpful. Now let's jump back a few years ago. Do you remember when things like ChatGPT were launching and people were asking questions such as about relatively new information, and either they wouldn't get a response, often you'd get hit with the "my training knowledge is only up to a certain date," or it would hallucinate and make up the information. Neither of those are particularly great outcomes, and that's where RAG comes in to try and solve that problem. Typically, large language models are only as smart as the training information that they have available, and that could vary between model to model, and the reality is, without lots of research, you're never going to know what a model knows and what it doesn't know. Now, let's say you've got an AI agent. Now, if you don't know what an AI agent is, we've made a dedicated video that you can check out right here for being able to learn about AI agents and getting started with them. But let's say you've got an AI agent with a large language model underneath. Now, we can give that AI agent access to tools. Those tools could be web search or MCP servers or RAG. These tools allow that large language model to access information it doesn't have access to, such as being able to search the web or access tools directly via MCP servers. Now, this is where retrieval tools, often referred to as RAG, can come in pretty handy, because let's say you've got an internal knowledge base. You want to be able to use AI internally, for example, to do customer support, but large language models aren't trained on your specific product, especially if your product's changing regularly, the information becomes outdated very quickly, and that's where you need to be able to allow these AI agents to directly access a knowledge base about your product. So what RAG allows you to do is it can retrieve information from a dedicated knowledge base. These could often be like vector databases. And then what it can do is it can augment it. Now, what that really means is it can enhance the information so that when you then pass it to the large language model, it knows what it can do with that information to be able to craft a response. Once you've augmented it and made it ready for the large language model, we can then generate a response with the final step, generation. So in short, RAG is effectively being able to give large language models direct access to your knowledge bases. So when you ask them questions, they don't just make it up or respond with nothing. Instead, they can actually get reliable information that's up to date. Now, examples of RAG in the wild, we've seen a few of these actually already, such as some companies getting their customer service to be entirely powered by AI, and it's using these knowledge bases as the core of the information. These often work for, general questions where you might ask, how do I do this? And it knows which support link to give you or what part of the documentation to point you to. Now, we actually use RAG on the Kestra docs to help you search for things, because there's so many different things in Kestra, it can be difficult to just type it into the search box. But now you can describe what you're trying to do, and then we can use RAG to figure out which part of the documentation is actually suitable for you. Now, I've got a pretty cool demo here to showcase RAG in action. Now, in Kestra, we've got support for AI agents, so you can be able to add tools to these agents such as RAG. I'm going to show you what happens when we ask our AI agent that's using Gemini as the large language model, and we ask it a question about a recent Kestra release. The one with RAG should hopefully be able to give us a useful response, because we're going to provide it information up front, whereas the one that doesn't use RAG, well, we'll just have to see what it returns. Now, this is pretty nice. As you can see from the topology view here on the right-hand side, the first step of this is to ingest our information. Now, in Kestra, what we can use is this ingest document task, where we can provide it a document, in this case from an external URL, and it's going to add it to the Kestra key value store, which is where the AI agent is going to store this in its memory. This means when we ask our agent further questions, it knows all about it. So when we go down, we've got a parallel task here that's going to ask our AI agent the same question in two different scenarios. The first one here is without RAG. And as you can see, we're just asking Gemini which features were released in Kestra 0.24. But with RAG, we've connected it up to the memory, the embedding provider that we created in the key value store. So it has access to that information. And then as you can see here, we're asking the same prompt. So if I execute this now, we'll have to see which one is more effective. So with RAG, we can see here that it's listed out all of the features because we gave it a document with those listed out nicely. And these are all things that we know are true. If I go to without RAG and we have a look at the response that it gave us, as you can see here, it's listing a bunch of stuff, but they aren't the key things that were released in 0.24. So it's kind of missed the point, right? It's not giving us the highlights, whereas the one with RAG is. You'll also notice how it just tells us there's been enhancements, but it doesn't tell us what they are. It just says there's been enhancement, there's new plugins, but it doesn't say what those plugins are because it doesn't know, right? It's just, instead of being accurate, it's just going to be vague rather than make up information. So as you can see, RAG is super useful when it comes to using AI agents at scale. I'd love to hear how you plan to use RAG, if this is something that's going to solve your problem when working with AI agents, or maybe you're looking for something else. Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to press that subscribe button as it helps us out a lot.